See that. Okay. Yeah. Standing there, I'm sure like seeing it breaks and it's done perfect. Ready, good to go? Yep. Okay, here, Schmeckel, Ludwig. Here. Miller. Here. Mitchell. Here. Eagle. Here. Edwards. Here. Pledge. Going to sit in the fire. Father, we thank you for allowing us to be here tonight and thank you for the village. And we ask that you guide us in conducting the business of the village council. Thank you, Dan. 1.25, approval of absence. There was no call for Jen, not for work use. So can I get a motion to accept or not going to come out? But she may be late, you know, right? She's been late before. So the council.
I think we're professional people, and usually grants and the reasons.
Yeah. You work in my age.
Yes. Make a motion to accept them for captain.
Take a second, please. All in favor? Okay, next is approval of consent agenda. I make a motion to, that we accept the consent agenda with bills to be paid in the amount of, and break that down. $28,120.20. Okay, I have a motion. Can I get a second, please? I got a first and second. Any discussion? This does include a contract for services for the video. That's that was taken. Then the one more video we taken it for. Any more discussion? If not, we forward. I should smack all of them. Yeah, here. Yes.
Yes.
Edward?
Yes.
Ludwig? Yes. Miller?
Yes.
Tino? Yes. Don't send me approval of regular agenda. Can I get a motion on that? I'll make a motion that we approve the regular meeting agenda as written. Go first, Maggie second.
And second motion.
We got a first and a second. Any discussion? Ludwig? Yes. Bishop? Yes. Miller? Yes. Tino? Yes. Edwards? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, next item is manager report. We want to welcome everyone to meeting tonight. Thank you, Mother's Day, for all the mothers in college sitting around the council chair. Thank you to the Mother's Day for finding some good weather in, so we're all for that. Few things here on the Savo River Center. Things are moving along pretty smooth right now with that. You guys do a good job. They're down there today working on some of the final cement work and some of the edging of their going on slats underneath because they will be putting with this all the like barn steel in this side. There's going to be lighter burgundy color there, so keep it bright in there. So that's going in. But I'm looking at contracting a guy. When you look at those decorative supports on the beams, they're reddish covered in there. Not with all the beams we have, but there's for the new addition we have to come up with 40 of those. So it's probably something that I could have probably had a tech center working on all winter long, but with school letting out at some of the tech centers here next week, I do have a guy who teaches at a tech center that has agreed that he would do this, so he can get me a price, what it would cost to keep all those out, assemble them, paint them, and you can still open it here to give that to the EDA. Quite a lot of the project, we're down to kind of somewhat of a final punch list. There's still a lot of little aspects that need to be done. Some of which we have to wait. The micro kayak launch should be in. The gentleman's going to call me this week to look at what day he may want to start putting that together. He thought it'd take a couple of weeks to get that in. All the parts and pieces are in, so I'm going to pull them up on. The first trial test this weekend went very well. We were down there and getting a lot of compliments on how nice it looks and the convenience of having bathrooms on both sides of the river. So,
I noticed the entrance to the old history.
it's wider than it usually.
That used to be just like a little hole we get through.
I think that's because the water level's so high. Is that and that's the main place where they had the dredge. I even well,
No. Because I was standing over on the old wall, of course, I'm like, wow, that's bigger than.
Yeah. We were allowed to take out so much that we had that at the measure conflict, but yeah.
I was down there taking pictures a couple of weeks ago, talking to the guy that's working on the bathroom. He said that gazebo, that the big hangup with it is that it's built by a company and they want their own people to construct it. Did you tell us that or?
We purchased that from American Parks, which is out of Texas.
Yes.
They sent contract a company out of Ohio to assemble. And not that people on here couldn't assemble it, but for their company, they had there's so many businesses that they have to be trained by them and go through that training and so they end up getting them to assemble it. Now for the most part they did a pretty good job, except that these are they have their issues right now we're working on. One is a cement base. They were supposed to auger in holes through the cement to put the poles in. Well, they ended up cutting a 30-inch by 30-inch square out. And when they got the poles all set and everything, they instead of troweling it off and you're still gonna see a difference there, but they just took like a broom and just wiped it off, but then they went beyond the 30 inches. They may have went 5 feet past the hole just to kind of smear that pressure cement out and they don't stay there. So the other thing they did not do is there's 3 plug outlets that you see. The lines was all ran, the power was all ran right up to that. They didn't take that because there's also those pillars are plugged. And that wire was supposed to go out there and kind of go through and come out the other side, and they did that. And now there isn't really a way of running that line in there. So a couple options we've thrown out is one is we had told them to come back and knock that pad out and do it right. And if they knock that pad out, we run conduit underneath it and run the lines like that. Yes. The second option is let's take $25,000 off the top, and we'll do it ourselves. And so they came back with it, wanted to put some type of skin layer over the top, which I'm not really comfortable with. You get those thin layers of cement on top of cement. Moisture gets underneath there, it freezes, it cracks, and I think that's my way it cracked with it. Yeah. And so that's something that again, someone from Texas who don't deal with the process we deal with, it might work fine for them. Suggestion came up the other day where the gazebo is towards the river. We have a nice, platform deck that you can stand on and look out. Is maybe we use that composite wood material, to put some furring strips in there and do the base of that gazebo to match that. And with those furring strips, you're gonna have about a half inch, 5/8 of an inch to run your wire in there and fish air everything and kind of take care of both things, you know, it's probably gonna be the cheapest fix, you know, for that. The only thing they have to do is that first section of cement that leads to the gazebo, they're gonna have to take that out and report and raise it so there's no edge there, so no one gets out there, you know, make more handicap accessible. So we're getting closer, the bathrooms all work fine, some of the tree landscaping going in this week, there's a little bit more as far as shrubbery and such when I go. Doug and I had conversation today about starting to assemble some of the picnic tables and some of the benches, starting to get those out there in certain areas and so it's again it's really starting to take through here. But once all the work is done, I'll have to write let's just say final report, if it will, saying that the project has been completed. That will go with the MEDC. It will take from that point 60 to 90 days in order for this project to close. Okay. Until that project closes, we can't do any of the other work around it. For example, the garage, we have set to have them painted to match the bathroom and a new roof on that, so the buildings match. MEDC won't allow us to do that because people would have to walk over, cut through their construction site to do that, even though it's the same people that's gonna be doing it. So they got some hang-ups, which I'm sure that maybe they've been burned on other projects in other places. We have three right now. We've got 4 of them coming in this week, memorial benches that need to go in. We can't even pour those past those in until, you know, that project has been closed out. So anyway, it's getting down there, but it's something that probably couldn't be wrapped up. Once it's in there, couldn't be wrapped up.
Will they allow us to go in and do the seating and stuff like that, even though the pavilion is not in the work area?
Yeah, when they tore down, when we went to demo the house,
Yeah.
they don't want anyone, you know, whole site. And I sent them a picture on it. So listen to this one. And if you go across the water, it's 110 feet to where anyone else is. And I said, no one's gonna get nothing in this house that big that's gonna fall across that pond and all that, but no, they had their way. So they're the ones holding the checkbook. So we just gotta wait my contact and say, okay, we'll just keep moving along, but we're making progress. Speaking of progress, I talked to the gentleman that Joel that's responsible for tearing down the spruce today. Right now there's a stop order on that project because the gas line is so low. So they have to get that gas line disconnected. So now DTE, when you want to do something like that, they require a lot of paperwork, which Joel says that they have, and they want some additional stuff they need for them. So I sent that too. And so now they went to like their planning commission to plan this project. And the one thing they said is that they want to cap that off, but they want to cap it more closer to the main, which is in the middle of the road. And so I haven't had a conversation with DTE yet, but I don't want to have that cap at the location and then we finish the road and then something else goes in there and we gotta dig up that road again to reconnect to with which those conversation. Joel says once we get the paperwork all completed at that value, it'll take me a day just to get everything on the ground.
dedicated this whole year, but he's just waiting to hear from, DTE's planning department, so they can get going on that, so, he says, I also would like to get that done, I kind of hoping to get it done before the weather turns, because that company does a lot of construction, I think, now the time I think he will swing a hammer versus going building it, so I'll keep you posted. We discussed this last month, as far as our water bill, water sewer, and we'll give you a update as far as, what we went through. We had 5 people stop in to check on their, okay, a couple of them indicated that they heard or read from Facebook that come in, you can get their water bill, redone or reduced, and there was not misinterpretation there. But one kid came in and wondered why the water bill was so high, and when the girl looked up, he had paid on 3 months. And so we went and he was aware of that. During the winter, that you can, or we try not to shut off water during the winter months. And but he did, and paid her off. He paid her off. We had 2 of them that needed to be adjusted for 1,000 gallons of sewer billing, which is the latest amount. Brandon helped me on, is that like $7.52 or something like that each? And so we adjusted them. We had another person come in claiming the same thing, that they need to be given a credit because of the let run, and when we looked up, they wouldn't participate in it. So we said, sorry, this is for the people that kind of went through there. And then the last one, the tenant moved out of an apartment and stuck the landlord with the water bill. Landlord wanted to know if we would consider eliminating the bill, because they didn't rack it up, and we said, no, we can't do that. So those were the 5 people that came in to help the girls. The girls have had probably a couple of phone calls, they said, too, as far as just people question about this and that. A couple of them asked, they said, well, why did my water bill go up? And so when they looked up, they participated in the lever. And so when we estimate and we go and look at the what they're billed for, to show that we always give credit in the customer's favor, if there's any type of confusion. And they said, well, my bill went up this month. Well, it was an actual read. So it was accurate. So to show them what we have given them in the past, was probably a little under what they were actually supposed to have. But it's not a lot, but it was different. Because now we're doing actual reads, and before they're going on the estimates. So anyway, we'll just keep working at that. Couple grant opportunities we're still looking at. MDOT is still seeking applications for the 2026 community service project. This project here is up to $250,000 with 50% matching. We can use that for infrastructure. It's one of those grants that we made. I mean, it doesn't cost us anything to apply. So it's one of those things we might apply, and then if we get it, we can use it. Great. If we can't, we're open up it. So that's one that we'll look at. Another one that we should spend some time with is a Michigan grant. This is for housing infrastructure, and this grant we applied for up to $3 million, and it's 50% of that is matched. Again, it isn't going to cost us anything to apply for it. And what our initial thoughts were is with Redstone doing that construction across the street from Lear, if this is something that might weigh and help out in the process too. Redstone construction, they're not really grant seeking. They're not a grant seeking company, because when you get those federal grants, you gotta pay by the stated wages stated in that grant, the state wages, plus
Plus, there's no need, like we found out when I walked in, there's different regulations that tend to slow down or delay the project. They want to get in there and get this project done soon or as quick as possible without having to have all the delays. So, but it's something that they said, yeah, just let us know and we're checking out and not to cause anything. And so it's something that, you know, we're working on. The village cleanup was this last, Saturday. And I want to thank the 30 some people that showed up to help clean up. Doing very well, very smooth. It's Tom O'Brien, you know, with now in PBA, but also with Roger and Rover Club, they have it down for science where you know, wait for the village from Act out. They accumulated quite a bit of trash and so what they did a wonderful job. They had a nice day to do it.
Yes, they did.
Talking about the canoe classic, talked to Sean Brabrand today, and Sean said, "Man, everything went great." He goes, it was so cool and have not only uh, in years past, everyone stands in Wallace Park and everyone wants a good seat, right? Well, all the guys and girls that are hauling canoes are coming right through. So it's really nice having that the land across there, you know, we could see a nice view, but it's creates a nice scene, and so he was saying that are really gonna highlight their program there, and really excited how well.
Corey, did a video of them running down there. I've never seen one like that before. I got to compliment it. They came in over on peninsula, I guess we go. And you can see that whole thing, you know, and usually when you're there watching it, you can't see it all. But he had it all, yeah, it was great. Good job.
Well, Amanda arranged for a company to come in and take these snapshots and many interviews and drawings. So they're gonna come back and put all this together. It'll be on our website and so it just gave a whole different perspective. I think it's nice. Last thing, village flowers. It's always our goal to get those open by Memorial Weekend. It'll be a challenge this year. I'm looking at Saturday and Sunday and some weather this week, high 58 degrees and low in the 30s. So after that, it's like 2 - 4 degrees, you know, and so we'll probably get the baskets out for sure. Being off the ground, they're a little bit for particular good. And I'll just have to look at them. I'm sure if I look at the beds, you know, we may have to wait another week or just who knows what the weather week's gonna happen. So, you know, if the beds don't get in by Memorial Day, I apologize, but there's one of some things in control.
The petunias, they're on, I learned this with Melvin here. Petunias are pretty cross hardy. You know, I've had them blooming here up to Christmas. Well, because I didn't get them out. So you don't have to worry about that. You're obviously planting petunias in there. So
With northern happens, especially with the heat basket, there's oil. It's set in that greenhouse all winter long, get the water so much, and then all of a sudden they get outside here in the bloom shock form, and then they tend to droop first few days, and then after a few days they kind of catch on to our immune system or whatever. But this kind of keep our fingers crossed and lined up all the people that the water this year and reaching out to the people that manage the beds and most of them are coming back, and so it should be fine. That's all I think. But Mr. Ron and Nathan.
You said missed it. Hiawatha, is it open to the public to use that space or not yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You can and the bathrooms are up and running and working and such, and people have been launching some boats there. Now, the next week, given that dock's gonna be going in, and once that launch goes in, it can be used and stuff like that, so. Anything with big equipment's pretty much been done.
And then my only other question, sorry.
Yeah, but
So my only other question on this whole water thing, just because I don't know how it all works and it seems like. So with the estimates, does everyone get estimated in the winter or just the people that do the let run?
just the people on that line.
Okay, and how do you determine that someone is doing the let run?
Okay. Good question. Every morning, Doug and Tammy look at this analytical, screen that it will tell you, who has running water, and it'll be certain flags out. Let's just say, Doug gave an example, I could say, he goes, you might have 2 or 3 residents every morning that, and you might say the water's been running since 2 o'clock in the morning. We know that for our guys, so that's okay. So, they're not going through a lot of water, but it'll show that because it's open going there. So they'll come in and they'll call those people and say, hey, maybe we want to check out your toilet or something like this, something's running that's not working. And sometimes there might be something leaking or maybe something in the hot water heater or something like that. But, when you look at that, if someone's using, let's just say 5 gallons an hour, when you see it all throughout the you know that there's some sort of filling house.
So those people and get up during the winter, during the let run.
Well, if someone's doing the let run, it's gonna show the water working all that, they're gonna get that's what we're yes. You know, what we did last year, we didn't have a let run. So we went and used, we last January, and February, so whatever they used last year, we that for sure.
And so then. So. Everyone else, so people that you see constant run, like through the big estimate. And everyone else gets actual rate. And then so when the let run ends, then just bring us my other question. We're just trying to understand the whole process. So what if someone, I guess my end question is, we'll start there and how it kind of goes. If you have estimated, so you would always have estimated and then an actual. If someone did like 2 nights that were super cold, they did those as a lot, and then they didn't for 4 or 5 nights. How would we determine if they get an actual or an estimated? Because what I see happening is somebody may be doing, it's gonna be super cold for a few minutes and do their let run at night, but then they don't most of the rest of the month. So then they get either say we get an estimated, and then they.
It's like the let run. If you're gonna let run, you let run for the month.
The whole thing.
You don't even choose.
Yeah, so I don't do that. I so for me,
And you're gonna get charged for water.
and
You're
so
gonna
now-
have to freeze up possibly.
No, because I do it when I don't have my stuff inside water. I do it when it's super cold, just at night. So that's where my question, I guess, is: wouldn't it be easier to have a set system versus this having to decide, okay, this person estimates, this person actual, this person was an actual or an estimate, but then when they do the actual, they're actually getting charged. I guess that is, I know that there was only 5 people and some of them it was misunderstood but in my head, it just seems like it would make it easier for the women that have to handle the billing and the people that have to look at their bill to have some kind of set rule or set policy. Because of questions like that, so if I do this for this long, but then I don't for this long, do I get a credit? Don't I get a credit? You don't.
We do a let run. We tell people that they need,
near the right line, until we notify them to. But you're right, there are some people that may, well, the next couple weeks are supposed to be warm, so they're all, you know, they turn on, but, and that's being a little risky on their part, because when it warms up, that's what pushes the pumps down, that breaks the pipe, you know, and so we try to, tell folks that, you know, it's warming up outside, keep that water trickling, you know, and when the guys check the frost line and they say, okay, it's clear to stop the left run, you know, we try to cap well that point in a month where we can, where it's easier for them, you know. But yeah, there are folks that's gonna do it a couple of days this week, a couple of days next week, and they're just playing, they're risking the fact that they can still have like,
Yeah.
freeze.
And I guess the other thing like hearing is if you do it as a courtesy to homeowners, because it's not the village's issue if someone gets a freeze. So then why are we making it the village issue by even like doing this whole weird billing? If somebody chooses to do it because they might not have the best insulation in their home, if it's not the village's problem, why are we making it the village's problem? I hear you saying that it's a courtesy, but it seems like it's more of a headache to us for something that's not supposedly our problem. Right? That was some very rigid set, like this is how we do like one or the other, and it's like crazy, well, we do this here, do this here, and it's. I guess I don't know the answer to that, yes or no. I think it would be yes, but
People comply with that, consistently, data, the automated system will show them the peaks. And let's say, let's use you as an example, you do have some peaks apparently, right? Peak, then it dropped out. Then a peak and a peak and then it dropped out. So if the way the process works, everybody's that peak the entire time, they complied with the line run, then the system is easy to pull that out and say, okay, they're all that out. But to go through and try to manually look at all, presume how many bills are
521.
121, so it's probably unrealistic to try to look at all. So it sounds like it's either the whole process that currently have it said, okay, let run, whoever run. If you choose not to, then you pay the bill. Yeah. Or maybe if you think that you can't well together. I don't think it's service for the community to support that, but.
And how many people did you have let run? 30 or 40?
Some people, now,
I think it's
Jennifer,
great.
you mentioned this word that doesn't. The homes aren't insulated properly. That has nothing to do with the let run. It's the water underground. It has nothing to do with your home. It's the water from the street to your house. That's why we leave it.
it's still our responsibility.
Yes, once we, if we don't have the let run, yeah, if it reason is dig it up and from the curb stop.
So from the curb stop to our house, one that we are concerned with it,
Yeah.
freezing.
yeah, finally, 30 minutes below grade, we're not, we're coming to my basement. It's like, it's more blocks out, or something.
We still here like that. But I know, live with the building, we always.
For some time to let it run, and it's never had an issue with anybody until this year, the first time I've heard any really big complaint about it.
That sounds like misinformation.
Yeah.
More likely, it's a service we need to offer to people. Because I mean, we are in a retirement village type in Low Waco. So you're gonna tell somebody they're gonna have to pay $4,000 bill. Or let the water run for maybe another $7 a month.
Or on water.
Yeah. So I mean, and why it's, we can't tell them that, okay. It's
So
not their
that
property.
picking up that water line is not cheap if we don't, if it freezes and breaks. Oh my God.
And if Doug has the data right there, I don't see that as being a real, real, difficult process. I don't find that confusing, right? I mean, it's kind of.
Doug, is it confusing when you look at the three?
difficult.
I don't think so.
Okay, because I mean, you look at, we don't.
Yeah, no, I, like when I said, I look at it every day. uh, Look to see what's been run. And the two main ones that I look at are continuous flow, which is more than like a gallon per hour or something like that. And it could be, like Ron said, 2 o'clock in the morning, you had 10 gallons that ran. Okay, you had a ton of this stuff on there, super gas. But then the other thing is high flow. And typically, high flow is going to be arena, rear, maybe in apartment buildings. If I see a resident that has a high flow, that's when we say, okay, we need to find out, like there's a place over here, on George Street that had a high flow. It had a broken water line underneath it. Nobody lived in a house. So those are the things that pop up on. The one thing that I want to make sure, and I said it last month again, when we say our responsibility, our is not the village. The village ends at the curb stop as far as responsibility. From the curb stop to the house is the homeowner's responsibility. Like I said last month, if that line freezes, you call us, we're gonna tell you, you need to call a plumber. That's not, must try to get that line put.
There's no insulation that can take care of that, no homeowner. Right, yeah, right, yeah.
Years ago, the DPW used to put styrofoam, when they put in a new water line, they put styrofoam down as insulation, but I often question that, how long was that? Okay.
And do we want to start from the ground?
You're right.
That's, I think it was 1, maybe 2%, right? Wasn't it like 5?
Yeah.
5%. So. Yeah, I think it's a service that we need, right?
If we can get the word out, and we'll want to think this thing for like one serious.
Yeah. And we'll find an average for that month in prior years, I mean, but I think that what we have to encourage folks is if you're gonna do the left line, do the left line. Don't pick and choose, do it and then because if you go a couple weeks during a month and that's it, yeah, might end up being a little more because it's took the average a couple weeks off, sort of. So,
Oh, okay, right. That one time my pipes froze, that was that one time in 1994, it did it during the day.
Was that inside?
No, it was out, the village had a welding machine at that time. We were on it for 17 hours, it couldn't thaw it out. And, but, I was village president that time, and I went on TV and told people that their water run, came home that day, and I knew not gonna happen. February the 10th, I wanted to.
And that's 2 years ago. When we did it. Yeah.
That was that time.
I think Brian had one.
Reason why we're doing the runs. And everything else. The reason why we're that wiring grant that will now that have a 10 by lead or galvanized line, so that we have to replace a percentage of them every year. Now, theoretically, we could say, hey, from the curb stop to the house, it's on the homeowner, you're gonna pay for that yourself. We've been paying those ourselves, but getting grants, so it's no additional cost on the home because we didn't think it's fair just because they have galvanized pipes and now they have to change them because we said so. So I think we do quite a bit to help support the homeowners and hopefully this year can get understood.
What you just mentioned this information, kind of misinformation you think.
Well, like the guy that thought his bill was too high and he hadn't paid for 3 months.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that like somebody's spreading this information. I just didn't know what maybe.
Just understanding, I think.
Yeah.
It was not interpreting that, we're gonna reduce the.
So, and for people, yeah, oh my God, I got $200. water bill in that village, literally, I mean, what? And did you call? No. If you call, they'll change it, and it's not a big.
Interesting to know. Very women, you know, we do not shut off water, all systems in fact, that this creates much more of an issue. As of last week, I believe Fran and Tammy showed me that we have $18,000 owed to us from outstanding water bills. So these ladies have been calling and telling and a lot of people have been responding. But they use that for not even know 3 months, you know, sort of thing. And we could be shutting them off during the winter and hey, you created this, not our problem if your line freaked up, you know, and so we do try to work with even at our expense.
With the terrible mailing system currently, if somebody doesn't pay, like, totally that work, because some people will actually still get their bills mailed, don't get their bill. They still don't know something, I'm not saying that they're like, oh, I'm sorry, how does that work, like, if we see somebody that hasn't paid, say now that it's May, we see unpaid bills for April. Do the ladies call those people or do they wait a certain amount of time?
That's well, 2 days last year, calling people, and then when we work with everybody. However, meetings that everybody could see it, some people are working now. She has got the bill, well,
3 years.
can't fix, you know, the mail them out.
3 years.
It was how, once you move it, just because, about it. Yeah, this one, all last week, they had jumped it. If there's extenuating things that, okay, we can extend, you do, or can. People say, no, they would just get lost in my email on that. Almost about for names. We have had the discussion about one, like the old mail route thing where you go door to door, put them in the doors. We have to know that so many people not can't get them. Maybe just for those specific ones that we know that are needed. Do it there. Any questions for Ron and anything else? Okay, if not, we'll move on to public announcement. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was looking at DPW report. My. Trying to agenda items, too many for feedback. I'm being a village resident. I just wanted to address the water and stuff again, say that, you know, people only let it run, get an estimate, well, I made a comment last month and I don't participate. I generally use under 1,000 gallons a month, sometimes it's zero, like it's zero, and stuff, it's here some gallons. So my bill is estimated for like 2 or 3 months back from the wet run. And I think where the confusion's happening is, you know, people, they estimate it, and it's lower than what they're using. So they do the actual read. Well, I know from my bill where it's an actual read, current read, it was an actual read, and I based it off previous read, which was an estimate. Here's my case, I didn't participate in wet run, so it kind of worked out nice. We're using a zero. Some people let their water, they were underestimated. And when you actually read, you're basing off the underestimation. You know, they're paying for the water that they were bringing. So that's what occurred. I was told years ago by other council members that the 20th of the month was set up. So then, of course, everyone reading that the bills would go out around the first of the month, so they'd have almost 3 weeks to pay the bill. But that doesn't always work because, as you know, Brent, I'll come and have 2 bills and I'll come in with 1 because that's all I got in the mail. I know. We'll give that a lot. I'm only people, I'm saying about telling the truth, I'm sure they don't get it. There's last one. Okay, sorry. Yes, sir.
My name's Richard Robar. I live in the village. I've lived here for almost 35 years in the village. I own my own home. I can honestly say that I have never gotten a bill from the village in almost 30 years from the water company regularly. And in the last 3 years, I have never received a bill from the village. Fran has brought me a couple of bills, but in the last year, I never received one single bill. Fran called me on Friday and said, you're scheduled to have your water turned off tomorrow,
No, no, I did not. Told me on Thursday.
Thursday, and it was going to be off.
So.
Well, we extended its money. Originally, they had scheduled me to have it the next day. But you can't expect me as an individual that has had serious health issues in the last 3 years to be able to get up, come to the village and get a copy of my bill. And every one of you get bills from businesses, things you owe, credit cards and everything. And you get them every month. You don't pay a credit card bill without seeing what it is. How does the village expect me to pay a water bill without knowing what it is? I've always come up with the money to pay my water bill, even though it's been a year without a bill. And Fran has worked with me, and we've worked it out, and the bills have been paid. But it's yearly this goes on, not 2 months or 3 months. It's a year before I get the next call from Fran and say, hey, bud, we're in trouble with your water again. My comment is, there is a problem. It can't be just the post office, because in 3 years, the post office staff has changed. So they're not looking for my name and my bill to pull it out of the stack and throw it away. My question is, where is my bill really at? Is the system not printing out the bill for me? Has anybody ever checked to see if it's really stacked and printed out?
No, I haven't gone through the 500 bills.
That's what I'm saying. There is a chance that maybe my name and my bill is not coming out,
It said on the system 50.
but it may not have been printed or something's wrong. My postal lady, I talked to her Saturday. She said, no, in the last 2 or 3 years that I remember you not getting a bill. And I says, my point is, I'm willing to let anybody come to my house and stand at the post thing where the mail is dropped in, check my box every month. And you'll find I honestly am not lying when I say, do you get a bill? That is a problem. I contacted a lawyer after talking with Frank. And they said legally, the village is responsible to you get a bill to pay. They cannot charge you late fees or interest if you do not get a bill.
Mail, certified mail. We're going to spend this money.
So what I'm saying is there's a malfunction between the village. Is it really actually saying it's printed and it's new? Because in my case, which is probably very, very few people have this problem. But Fran will tell you, honestly, when she notifies me and tells me this, we get it taken care of. The bill will be paid. Okay, it may not be paid on the date that they want it because it takes me approximately 30 months or 30 days to get an actual check written and sent to the village to cover it. I don't have the funds, okay? I make just over $1,000 a month to live on, to pay a house payment, to pay all my bills, and pay my medical insurance and things like that. I do not live luxurious. and very simple and plain. I've driven the same car since the man died at the end of the street and sold it to the neighbor, and I bought it from them. It's a 2013. But I don't have campers, I don't have boats, I don't have extra things. I live very, very tight budget. But when you get a call a year after your water bill is due, and they're gonna shut it off, to say, it's gonna be shut off, we need almost $500 out of your pocket.
Yeah, it wasn't a year, I mean, it's like 5 months.
So here's my question to you. At this point, you know you get a water bill each month. And you don't receive one, but you don't call and say, hey, I didn't receive a water bill.
I have in the past.
But you did it this year.
No,
So you went the whole year without paying a water bill that you knew you got every month.
correct,
So.
but you also have
It's
to,
like both ways here now.
right, but you also have to think I have been very sick.
I understand
And
that.
I have a home health aide coming in that helps me by paying the bills.
Yeah.
Because I can't get up and pay the bills, I can't function on a normal level
I understand.
up until the last.
But the
few
thing is, what
weeks.
you're doing, you're accusing us of not sending you a bill each month. And you're saying we're not accountable for making sure you have a bill. But you're not being accountable to us. But saying, hey, I didn't do my water bill as well. What is the problem? How is the problem? Can we?
I have done that.
Yes, you have, but have you followed up on it? It sounds like you went 3 years, then you went through this year, you're finally getting upset about
Well, because
it. I would have been upset 3 years ago when
I was. That's true. And we've gone around and around over this whole thing. My point is can somebody please find out where my water bill is? Is it being put in that big bin to go to the post office? Or is it actually not for some glitch in the system, not actually printing it out for me?
It's something we can work.
Okay, but I can't be held responsible for a service that you provide for me, or you don't even, I don't have a choice over it. I can't put a well in my house because it's against village ordinances to use other than village water. So I am demanded by you to use your services, your water. Therefore, you are responsible to make sure I get it.
And then if you don't get a bill,
And that's not my responsibility.
no choice. You get a credit card payment. You don't get a credit card payment, you don't pay for the month, you don't get it. You call them, say, hey, I'm not paying credit card payment, my credit card shut. Do you do that?
I get a credit card payment. I get it, and I get an actual bill.
For a year.
No, the extension is 35 years ago.
That's fine, sir. You've had it more than me.
Now,
So it's 2 months, I didn't get a water. And then go to them. So. Now you're coming to us with a lawyer saying you were gonna do this.
no, the
So I think
lawyer
we
is
should
there
proceed
to
because
protect
that's a different-
you because you provide a service for me. I pay for your service because it's demanded by you guys, right? But if you don't send me a bill, you're not responsible for it.
It's true now, this was all.
The legal part is I'm not responsible if you don't send me a bill.
And
And I call friends and say,
to kind of like, how. If like for me, if I ran a credit card payment. And a bill didn't get sent, I wouldn't, I don't think I would like think to myself, oh, I didn't get it, because that's just.
35 years?
The bottom line is, it's really not, and yes.
this has happened in the last 3 years, so not 35.
Is, was it just
Literally.
to call and say, hey, I didn't get my mail, truly is.
Okay, I got you.
Can we just, I'm asking, can the village police work on it, figure it out, and let me know what's really gonna happen?
Yes.
A lawyer has to actually step in because he said he could on my behalf. And I'm also asking that late fees and interest be deducted from the total bill I have.
I'll take care of it.
Okay, great.
Okay,
That's all I want.
okay. Now I got 2 water bills and I don't always get them in the mail. And, well, it's post eligible. But I know these bills are due by the 20th of the month, because otherwise I'm in arrears, I can think out bills, we all are responsible, we can't be in arrears to the village if we're on this bill. So I am here by the 20th of the month with at least one card, or maybe even a grant, you know, I never heard of it. I said, here's this one, yeah, we should give me the other, now, but, you know, but if I don't have one, no.
So can we send it to you by email? That you get one by email?
You can send it to me by email. I don't have a problem. I just need to get a bill so that I can print it out. So we can have somebody help me when they need help for paying bill.
We're trying, we're saying we wait for a year, you know, build or be abating, but don't care.
Right. My client is going to help, to get to the base of it, and I'm doing better, and I'm happy to help. So that's all I'm asking, in the village itself, look into this and please help.
Well, what can I do for you? Thank you for bringing it out. Any more public knowledge? Okay. Next, we done finished business, DPW report.
Couple numbers. That time of year, getting moving everything over from the winter stuff to the spring and season. Senior banners are all up. They went up last week. We started discharge of the waste treatment plant on last Tuesday, May the 6th. Wallace Park was cleaned up and the bathrooms were opened there last week, trying to make sure that was ready for canoe. We didn't know if Hiawatha was going to be ready or not, but obviously it was, like Ron said. Went down in last Thursday, tried to water out of the cemetery. We had 3 of the water spigots were actually leaking, so I replaced those 3 valves. I turned it back on again this morning. I turned it off over the weekend because it was supposed to be pretty cold. But I turned it on this morning. There's nothing shooting up out of the ground or anything like that, so we're just gonna have to, monitor it and see if there are other leaks. There probably are, because the meter shows that there's something going through it yet. But we'll monitor that throughout the summer, and we're either gonna see a puddle somewhere or some really green grass where there's nothing else around, and get in and figure out what that is. Kind of going back to what Ron was talking about a little earlier ago, we had the DWAM project we went through this last year. And what the DWAM was we were paid, reimbursed, I should say, for inspecting. I think we had close to 50 rooms that we had to go and look at and determine if it was proper, galvanized. We haven't found any lead anywhere in the township, but so we went through and did that. Well, what DWAM doesn't pay us for, we have to do certain replacements every year as we find them. And we're doing, because we're absorbing the costs on that, we are trying to stick to that bare minimum number that we have to do every year, hoping that, and I should say, interacting with Weiss and Vanderbrink and some other different vendors and stuff, we are so far ahead of what most villages and townships and cities are on doing the replacement, because everybody's kind of sitting back hoping that the state or the federal is going to say, we know this is probably where I need to see you. So that being said, we went and looked to try to find 5 to 6 replacements to do this year. We started out looking on North 6th Street, thinking that that was an older line through there and that we would have some galvanized in there. Every insurer will get in, copper lines, so they need to be replaced. So we went over and started looking over on George Street and on South 6th. And as of right now, we're coordinating with Carl Jack to try to set up a date for that the replacements are going to happen. And then once that happens, we'll be reaching out to the homeowners. But we've been able to determine that service lines at 1010 George Street, 101, 107, 109, and 111 South 6th Street, those have galvanized lines. So we're gonna be going back and replacing those with either a copper or plastic line
Galvanized from the street.
from the street into the house, into the water meter, through the water meter.
One of one, nice top.
According to the pictures we've got, the one for the water meter.
Oh, I did 2 in one house, 6 straight on the only house. Oh my God. And that's that galvanized.
We weren't able to get in to verify. That was for your place up here. We had,
No, for that.
I guess I have to look back and try and see.
I just wondered.
Yeah. We were still, was it 2021? I apologize, I wasn't here, but I think it was 2021 when the meters were changed over. Somewhere around there, and they took pictures of all those water meters at that time. Some of the pictures I can see what the line is coming in, some I can't. First one I was able to see, it's galvanized coming in. And then all these other ones, we actually had to go out and find them in the crawl space or look into the house and see where it was, but those are, right now we have 5 that we confirmed that we're gonna probably be replacing. There is one other one we're looking at. They're trying to get pictures from the guy, on North Sixth, and he was supposed to, on Saturday, talk to Andrew, and he was supposed to be getting pictures right then and send them over to us, but we will be doing that, getting those replacements done, and then we'll meet our requirements for the state and get everything taken care of. Elevator. Tomorrow at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, they are going to be there to not uninstall it or take it out. It's gonna still be there. It's just gonna be, the doors are gonna be bolted shut. The hydraulics are gonna be removed. Electricity, everything on that. So hopefully, you know, that's all done. We did get, back in December, before we found out that we couldn't take it out of service, we had paid for any service to be done on it, so there was a check cut to Otis Elevator for 2,600 and some change in December that come out of last year's budget. We now have that money back from Otis, so that'll reduce takes us down to about 10 grand for getting it out of the system. It also takes out, what was the bill for that, Ran? I forget the mistake, it was 300. Yeah, for our annual license and stuff, so in the long run, we're gonna be saving some money. Only other thing I have really right now is we did clean the sidewalks up last week on Lake and Hill. And I think Henry did get through completely by the end of the week with a street sweeper. We got that cleaned up, so I think we're in there. Okay. Any questions for me?
I heard good things about it. And I think, check up on you know, some of you are getting my crew. He's a good guy to work with.
You're saying he's in the one down there on the street, you know, with every day. That's, you know.
I don't have sunburn yet.
Pavement and the construction over on F. Is that gonna be repaved?
Yes, oh, yes. We're out gonna be going over some other stuff, like on Shelley, we had some up. Some of that's gonna be cement work, but the repaving, work, Shelley, probably gonna contract with the county. Won't get that. It's kind of a matter of scheduling right now. I'm not even sure, Mike, do you guys still have crews up north yet?
No, we're all back.
They're back now.
We're going in province right now, yeah.
So we will be contracting. We've got several spots coming up, 2 spots in Shelley on each side of them. And like I said, that over there.
Yeah, 'cause that was new pavement too.
Yeah, it was. We were really trying to talk under that, and I didn't have my ground up there because it was below grade for talking to his others, because you know, sort of right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but that was some big chunk too,
yeah,
big.
and DTE also had a gas line that they had to run, and the bank was on our side of the road, so
They cut a big square.
it was a big chunk of the road taken out.
But more likely to see a wedge go in there, more likely to wedge it and make it together. Yeah. Let's hope we don't have that. All right, any other questions for Doug? If not, thank you, sir.
Thank you, folks.
Next up,
Mr. Perry Ellis, Economic Director, right? I know there's a lot more on the agenda later on, so I'll keep this brief. Beautiful day today, the sun is shining, spring is from last Saturday, was a really, cool day. I think, Amanda and I came up with the term, well, actually, Amanda came up with the term Roscommon springs into action with the Rotary cleanup, the community garden, opening, the World Migratory Bird Day at Gahaga, a lot of activities, the canoe race on Saturday as well, and Amanda was able to go around with this, I don't want to give away the thunder, so I'll let you take that. So we opened up the social district as well on Saturday, and well, thank you to the council members that came out for that. Was talking to Ron a little bit this afternoon about our signage and how effective it will be. There were a few issues with regards to people not knowing how the social district works. I'll lay that on my shoulders, although we did put some things on social media. It was probably not soon enough. We don't have enough presence with regards to communication outside of social media. We have some signs up, but something that Ron and I are going to continue to talk and work on. Maybe look at some more permanent signage that explains the rules a little bit better. So thank you for those of you that did come out for the really exciting ceremony on the social district. So far, nobody's been arrested. I say that jokingly. I'm knocking at wood here. But if you remember, I did do a report. I did go around to 2 social districts and talk to city managers with regards to how that would how the police blotter looked after a social district, and really both have said that there were no incidents in their social districts at all. And so we're hoping that that rings true here in Roscommon as well. Farmers Market opening is this Saturday. That Marcy Banker reports that they have 40 vendors signed up this year. Also be doing music down there as well. And not sure if they figured out the issues with regards to, I know on the agenda a little bit later with regards to food being available downtown. And as we mentioned last month, we did meet with some of the restaurant vendors with regards to how we can accommodate some of these vendors and them wanting to get something to eat in town. And so that continues to be a work in progress as well. The Chamber of Commerce Business Expo is next week, next Wednesday, May 21st from 3 to 6 at the Craft Center. And seniors Elise Shervin and Jacob Zabel, the 2 that were chosen to represent the DDA or represent youth on our DDA board. Their terms are coming to an end. If you know any of those seniors, please thank them for their service to the village. They did a great job. And I'll leave it to Amanda if you want to talk a little bit about Bird City or your fundraiser.
Public comment
Sure, yeah, we could do it in public.
Do 3 establishments in the social district have their cups and their stickers, like everyone did that part, or?
There's one of the 3 that has still not filled out their paperwork, even though this board had approved them. And we're not sure they're going to participate, but we still have the minimum 2. So right now we're keeping track of the cup usage to reimburse the DDA. Right now it says Greens and the Irish Kilt. So rather than this time, even though they have signed on to participate, they're not participating at this time. So
Surprised me, but we wanted to have like car shows and some other things. Now, we did have triple spending.
yeah, we were surprised as well. So
Did they indicate any reasoning or just?
I think we had a conversation with Ron.
Yeah, I mean, we're, yeah, they're both liability creating more liability than what you do right now. People drinking in the establishment and getting cars taken off and that's something you gotta monitor, you know, and if someone has been drinking more than what they should, you know, that's kind of on you to, you know, control that. They would have these people, I remember walk into that sidewalk, and, you know, that, you know, I had to say the sidewalk, that should be pretty good, you know, but they just had some last minute questions, you know. It might, monitor the things they have, a lot of help in receiving, things that I think could help them all.
Right now, the limits, what I think I saw the sign, the limits, not like maybe the E or.
Mill Street.
Mill Street. And that's where we have to get back with the signage issue. Because all the signs we had printed out to go out to, you know, we're seeing, we were, Tom and I were standing up about limits nine to make them, you know,
Well,
yeah, they're supposed to be meters down. It's a learning process right now, so. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's all I have.
any more questions for Mr. Perry? I'd just like to say, he was over there thanking everybody for showing up. I told him, you're the one that needs to be thanked for everything you've done. They don't want to be asked. But, you know,
Thank you for the comment, but I with the team member. I don't remember.
going into business.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And Amanda is gonna have her comments during. Okay. Okay, next up will be House Bill 4027 and 4028 local control.
Thank you. Last month, we, passed a resolution to support, local control to try to bring them back and into oppose PA 233. I got an email from one of our representatives saying kind of not times alert that if you voted on this within so many days or something like that, you need to contact your representatives and this House Bill 4027 and 4028 both address reimbursing someone doing that PA 233 and giving local control back to boards like yourself. And so I contacted all of our representatives, told them that the village of Roscommon would encourage you to vote for these bills. I was reassured that our representatives felt the same way and that we were going to address it and I was told it will be built passed. So that's one closer step to minimizing or undoing the PA 233. So it's fine. We had no comment.
Okay, any questions on Bill 4027 and 4028? Yeah, Ron, will you scroll your agenda up for those that don't have the agenda? Oh. There it is. Okay, next item will be the planning commission meeting and village council work session.
This is just a reminder now, next Monday, in this room. Stone Construction is gonna be here to lay out their housing plan for the planning commission. You have been invited to attend, and if you want to schedule a work session at that time, remember at a work session, no decisions can be made if this for discussion and finding itself. So you would be here along with our planning commission to listen to Redstone's presentation. We'll probably have some other folks here as well, like Jim Letts with our building and zoning administrator. And I'm not sure the attorney with the private police and Van Rick will be here, our engineers. I met with David again from Redstone last week briefly, and they're excited. They're
they wanna give a good presentation, and they're gonna be here in person. And so, I thought it would be good if you're available and the planning commission available, so questions, everyone is hearing the same questions and you hear the same response at the same time. At 5:30, right in this room right here.
Public is also welcome to that, or is it just?
No. Public is welcome to attend our planning commission, but it's not the meeting. Come on. Okay. 5:30.
Okay, we'll move on to next business. New businesses. 2025 village sidewalk projects.
Every year we go through and we, either replace, repair, sidewalks, or we, put in new. What I sent you was, I think a combination of both. The one sidewalk we're looking at replacing it is the one on Main Street from Shelley to Brooks. That sidewalk currently is on the north side of the road at the flower shop, and it goes down to an old, movie theater. That sidewalk has shifted, where now the water runs inside the building. So the first half of that sidewalk, definitely should be replaced and redone with no issues there. It's the last half, of that block that in the one yard, there's two humongous trees, one just got cut down. But I bet it has raised that sidewalk only 6 to 8 inches, if not more. And then where the movie theater is at, into some of the work that they have done there, that sidewalk's gotten loosened up pretty good. And so I need to have a conversation with that owner, because I'm not gonna put in new sidewalk and you're gonna sort of drive semi-total over it. So we might just do half of that sidewalk at this time. The other part that would be brand new now the way things are written, I can go ahead and get bids on things if it's replacing a sidewalk that's already there. If it's new sidewalk, you have to prove that. So when you think of Fifth Street along Shelley, Fifth and Shelley, from that first half block when you're walking north towards the farmers market, there's no sidewalk through there. So we're looking at putting in a sidewalk up to railroad tracks, and maybe from the other side of railroad tracks to Main Street. We will have to get special permission from the railroad in order to put the sidewalk along the tracks there, but we can go up to certain right of ways, on each side. We have a couple of just little patches that we haven't fixed. Maybe when they put the sidewalk in Pure Right or wherever, there's a 5-foot section on 4th Street down there that's taken out. It's somewhere down by 5 lights back there. There's a pad of the DPW. Remember we've just put in that generator, and the old generator was moved to the corner of 1st Street there, right under our station. We need to put like a 5x8 pad in there, just so for that generator, but there's one more little spot over on Shelley Street, behind the transmission shop. They just repaired that sewer line right there, and they had to take off for that driveway as well as a section out on that sidewalk. So we'd like to get that all taken care of. So I'm gonna be putting those bids out separately, and the way the bids read, it's between $500 and $5,000. You don't need sealed bids, and there's certainly picture it's over $10,000 then you need to see sealed bids. You gotta have so many bids and stuff like that. So that's right in our policy.
Excuse me, there's a piece of sidewalk. You go from Shelley up to Tank Creek. Okay, you get up Shelley, I don't know how many yards it is. It's like a tree. I mean, it's a bush totally blocking the.
Yeah.
So that should come up.
Yeah.
we have quite a few that need addressing, you know, and so right now, my focus is the quadrant from the lane, you know, Fifth Street to Lake Street, you know, kind of taking on that area and dressing that up. We had a lot of over here, and there's probably a little bit more than we could do over in this southwest quadrant, but now we're gonna work on the northwest quadrant, and then we'll be moving right around. Certainly something that's not gonna be done 1 year. Oh, I guess.
You're looking for a motion to.
A motion just to authorize me to go ahead and close it and.
Okay, I'll make that motion that we give on the authority to post legal notice for bids for the sidewalk.
First, take a second, please. The first, second, any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Michael? Yeah. Murphy?
Yeah.
Bishop?
Yes.
Goodwin?
Yeah.
Ludwig?
Yes.
Eagle? Yes.
Yeah. Okay, next item is the L 40229 tax rate approval.
Okay, I'm gonna pass to you here, a sheet, 309 in Washington mail every day and every year you have to approve, maybe it's in the top of the one side, but you should be both sides. There might be one that's not size. Every year you have to approve the L 4029. With the 4029, it's a legal form that sets our millage rates. Okay. Now our millage rates on that form I gave you, that's a copy of 2023, and on the other side is a copy of 2024. You will notice that the millage rates on both of those are identical. We have not, as a village, had any millage rates or any election that's going to affect our millage rates. So, so when I called the state, and they're already in by now, they're waiting on something, and then that gets processed, it goes to the assessor, it goes to the equalization, and then in 4029, form comes to us for your approval. The glitch is this: by law, taxes have to be mailed out by July 1st. And so, what I'm asking at this time, knowing that the millage rates are not going to change, would you feel comfortable authorizing Mike, who has to sign off on this, the authorization to sign off? What I'm concerned about is the wait till June. Not knowing when if we're gonna get that form before June 9th, our next meeting, we may have to have a special meeting or scramble bit to not only get you to approve it and sign it, but now we gotta send it to a company, KCI, that does all the printing and mailing and to get it out by July 1st. So it's a little bit of a tight line that we're looking at. You look at, when you look at the allocated, general and a voted debt, and you go to line or town 10, 9.8 and 2.5, and you look at both sides of that, that's a number that if that changes, then your taxes are not changing. Now, someone say, well, my taxes still went up and those numbers didn't change. You're right, because the value of your house went up. Okay, so, but the assessment part that you're being assessed on your taxes is not going to change. So, the council has a choice whether they want to grant my authorization to sign that form when it comes in, and hopefully it's in time to have it printed and mailed out on time, or you can wait until next month to see if it's in by June 9th.
No, go ahead. I second it.
We Okay, do we get a motion first? Well,
All right, I'll make a motion that we're else first. We can have, time is sufficient.
so let me read this. You make a motion to approve the L 4029 tax rate. And to have President Miller sign the appropriate paperwork.
Yes, I make a motion to approve the L 4029 tax rate, or to have Mike sign. The on receipt of. What? It's been out, so.
So I have a first, and a second, any discussion?
So we are looking at giving you authorization to sign this exact form. But for 2025.
Yes.
And see that no person must be levied by July 1st, but then this form must get completed and submitted on or before September 30th. So I get that, I guess I need one.
Have any foreign ones that have wind tax.
Okay.
That their taxes, we assess. Big question.
Any more questions?
If the taxable value here and top line gonna change, and then.
As far as that 25,000 or 25 million or.
Yeah, yes, that'll change, because of the taxable value.
So to see how it goes.
2020. So that's when the don't think
Yes. Since I've been here, that those numbers have been the same. And you can see on the one, it's gonna stay the same until 2038.
But
Do we typically have this? I'm not sure where.
Yeah.
So there's some reason that we don't have it for now, basically.
Yeah. Call Joey. Colin, she's like the state. So she waited because she approved it, so every time and Colin didn't really. She hasn't been do it, but I have all filled out, except for a chick for them, then this says go in the door. We set from the, taxes, and we have to be facing on her, but we get that one. And normally we have all this stuff, we complete it now, and then we can find things, hopefully, we have to put it down. And we can do a city block. Maybe later, 2 or 3 weeks, you gotta call up.
Many times we come, we had the 16th of July. In order to get taxes out by August or June, in order to get taxes out by July 1st, so, we'll keep our fingers crossed that can happen, but it'll be show up tomorrow. I mean, they didn't have no idea.
Okay, I got first, second, any more discussion? If not, we'll call this.
Miller,
Yeah.
Fisher,
yes,
Ludwig,
yes.
Eagle,
Yes.
Ready? Yes. Dylan? Yes. Smichael?
No.
Okay, next item is water tower agreement with AT&T.
AT&T has contacted us in regards to wanting to renew the lease on our water company. They gave us a couple options. One option is to pay the village $28,000 a year, starting in April 1st of 2026, raise it 2% a year, and extend the lease to March 31st of 2054. When I did the math on that, it equates to around $1.1 million. That's option one. Option two is to receive a lump sum, which I think the council received before. Receive a lump sum for the payment of $485,132. In return, we'd have to give them a 99-year easement on the property, and sign the lease and rental income under the lease. So that's a little less than half of option one, but you get it all right now. My conversation with them is these water towers were constructed to hold water. And, all the work that they do on top, I'm not an expert, but I would like to see a tower study done. Just to see if anything they're doing is affecting, the structure. Whether it's strength or whatever, the weight capacity, you put these railings on, they catch a wind, I mean, I wanna make sure that we're not enjoying some money, but it's 70, 10 years from now, we have to replace a water tower that this one is not gonna cover. So I am doing today to reach out to Dixon, that's coming in. Those are water tower servicing to see if they can give us a water study, a source study to say, okay, yeah, towers could go, you don't have nothing to worry about, or yes, you have something to worry about. This decision doesn't have to be made tonight, but I want you to be aware of they're still trying to get in there and negotiate. One of the two options, I worried a little bit about giving up a 99-year lease. You know.
Is that only on the second option?
Yes, you know, that's an option. But, you know, signing something through 2054. That's, you know,
That's a long time.
so again, this is what they threw at us. We can go back and counter and go back and forth, but I told them that I have to see a study done on that water tower first. When they weld on top of that tower, there has to be some type of arc or whatever, someone, you know, going into the system, and I want to make sure that there's nothing that's having any type of effect on our quality of water and there. So Dixon, they're the company that we hired to clean the outside of the tank. They also drain the tank, and then they'll go on the inside and check that quality in there. And there are times that that needs to be recoated or something like that, they'll seal it, taking care of that. So I guess wanted you to know to see that unless you feel a certain way right now, I would suggest that we look at that study first before we make any decision.
We need a motion for to have a discussion.
Yes, we do.
Make the motion to not approve the AT&T water tower agreement.
I'll second that.
Got a first, got a second, any discussion?
Can we make this instead of? Can we like table this? This is something that we can table. Maybe change, I don't know, change the motion or what to table this for later discussion after the discussion or what about this study. I don't know anything about water towers, you know, but I assume that they're, you know, for the, you know, engineering is not for, you know, their engineering or whatever that's specifically for it, not any patents, but I don't know that. So I would prefer to look at.
First started talking about this, did you say it's a renewal, or is this something you'd like to have this on our water tower right now?
Yes, we do. And we currently have a contract with them. And they, every year, they'll reach out and they'll say, hey, we wanna add a new antenna, we gotta do this or that, and it's always upgrades, not additions, they say, but you're. I worry about, you know, again, that's at the top of the tower, it's catching a lot of wind, so I just want to make sure that the tower is secure.
What was the current agreement in?
I want to say 2026 or 2027.
So it's pretty close,
Yeah.
but we have,
Yes.
so I would, and we can actually counter with our own offer, I'm sure. Okay, so the first offer was through 2050,
Yeah.
2024, and that's for lease agreement per year.
Yes.
You know, 2%, 2%, you know, annual upgrade.
Mhm.
The second one is a full payment, but that includes a 99-year lease. $400,000.
Yeah.
So less, you said less, yeah, I don't, that doesn't make any sense to me, because we're giving up a lot.
Well,
That's
and,
not gonna be-
and what I think happens is there's probably a lot of municipalities out there that could use a $500,000 check, you know, right now, so that might be more effective to them, you know, in that time. I don't see it being that desperate, you know, but,
I've been one seems to be a better option, but I wonder if 2% is somewhat low.
yeah.
But you know, your phone bill shows up more than 2%.
What is our agreement with them now?
Right now, they give us a certain percentage on usage every year, and it's about $5,000. It's supposed to be coming around $2,000, but this last year it was more like $3,400, so it's not like. Because it's based upon you, get a new company comes out and people switch their plan and we don't have as much use going through that tower.
That seems like a big jump from, they only pay us 5,000 now and they want to pay us 20.
Well, initially, the village got $185,000 for instance, in the first year, and then they got this, they get a certain percentage after that.
And you're saying the 5,000 is yearly, monthly?
Well, right now, that's kind of what they, yearly, yes, but we're not getting $5,000 a year. Yeah.
But what is the new agreement to for the
$28,000 for the years until 2054, with a 2% increase every year. And so when I did that math, it was just under 1.1 million. And but
over the next 20 years?
yeah, so but what I think is more concerned about, that sounds great,
It does.
but if we gotta replace that structure because it's doing damage to it, we're gonna be out more than 1.1 million.
Yeah, I'd say that's wait for that study. It was more like 800,000. I mean, it's still 54, and it might start at 27. So you don't get 4. That's 27 years. Times 28,000. Is 756,000. Well, 2%. You got
Plus 2%,
some. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
What,
So,
what would our, like, so say we get this tower, study done, and it shows that it is, like, what we currently have is affecting it negatively. What would be our plan of action at that
I
point?
have to look at the original agreement and see if that was covered in that. That's something that would definitely go through our next agreement if we decide to move forward. Yeah, if we don't renew it, then have to pull it now.
yeah, I think we started drinking now. So, you know, they didn't have a water.
So AT&T is taking over the national first responders network for all EMS in the state of the United States. So they're adding more power. That's why the increase is so high. They've signed a contract where they can provide where there'd be no drop signal for their, for instance, because all emergency calls right now go across themselves. And whether you have a fire call, EMS call, whatever, it's that carrying those little pagers, which costs township more and more money each year. So this is a service they're offering. It's called FirstNet, AT&T FirstNet.
Any idea on the cost of the tower study? An additional cost?
A lot of times, if we contracted and we've had in the past to clean the towers, so that will all be part of that. You remember, good prices down on them, washing the inside as well as doing the inside too, so. We probably won't do both of them, do one of the other part this year.
Okay, got a motion on the table. Any more discussion?
I guess, I would ask what Ryan was asking, is there a way that we can, instead of making a motion, doing a roll call vote on that motion, is there a way that we can just table versus not approving?
You can rescind your motion.
This motion I have right now is not to approve, the moratorium agreement to table it. I think that's what you guys had said.
So not approval, but table.
And that's,
Have the mention the study, authorizing the study. You know, I want to add in, table until we got study results.
Well,
I mean, I guess we can bring it up next month. I mean, how long do you think it'll take us? I mean, I probably have no idea at this point. Like, you got to talk on and find out. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to have something by next meeting.
and if we do this not approved, we can always bring it back.
Okay, that's fine. All you're doing is not.
Right, this,
This,
Not.
great. I have a motion to not accept the agreement, anything want to, then simple vote of all in favor, say aye. Aye. We're moving on. Next item is Lisa Vanderbeek, USDA wastewater improvements.
Okay, this is, again, all the USDA project for Lisa Mavericks, helpful with, wastewater improvements, and a lot of this had to do with the generator as well. It was on the motion to, for $4,570.75 to pay Lisa Maverick for the service.
Can I get a motion to pay Lisa Vanderbeek $4,570.75?
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, first, can I get a second? Got a first, second, any discussion?
Yes, sir. When do we expect these to be complete on this? We're really close. Right now, the work has been finished. We're looking at leftover funds that maybe we could use, continuously reuse to upgrade this or that. And then, that's kind of what I keep pushing for, that they have come out, that now the water's been done, okay? They have, from all USDA have, and they went through a punch list and, you know, they're wrapping them down. This should be done also. I'm trying to, there's some leftover money there. I'm trying to see it right there. It's fire hydrant or whatever, you know. That's all.
Okay, any more discussion? If not, roll call please.
Ready? Yeah. Edward? Yeah. Bishop?
Yes.
Lovely?
Yes.
Keyhoe?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Michael?
Okay. Next item is RCL construction using USDA for $19,106.35.
Okay, same thing, and for our wastewater contract with them, our RCL came out and they helped us with the connection of the generator and then the testing and stuff like that. So this is what we come out of the USDA grant, not the village funds. So I entertain a motion to pay ourselves $19,106.35 for the work on our Blacktown wastewater.
Can I get a motion to approve that?
I will make the motion to approve payment to on the USDA project for the amount of $200.
Can I get a second, please? Got a first, second, any discussion?
Does that finish that project? That part of it. That part of the project, yes. And then generator worker fine. So the next part is just cooking in the second. Correct. Yes, yes.
Okay, got a first, second, can I get a roll call, please?
Ready?
Yeah.
Michael?
yes,
Lovely?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Bishop?
Yes.
Keyhoe?
Yes.
Okay, next item, American Park Company, $43,950.
This in your packet, versus run it through the consent agenda, because I'll explain to you
because for the last 2 months, I talked about the American Parks, this is where we bought the gazebo from. When they started the project, I reached out to American Parks and said, hey, if you need any money, a lot of times these contractors might say, give us 50% right now, 50% when it's completed. At that time, they didn't listen to any funds being given to them. Now, since there's a little discussion on completing the project, in talking to the engineers, you know, we felt that that $38,700 that the township paid for the gazebo itself. There's $1,000 of engineering in there, and there's $4,250 in shipping and handling. That part isn't going away. We have that on the location. So I feel it's fair to pay for that portion. It's the remainder of that we're holding on to, which is around $24,000, you know, until the rest of the project taken care of. So I wanted to again put this in front of you versus that when the stack that Brian, this is so you understand what we're paying on, you know, why we're paying that gazebo's not gonna go anywhere if it's submitted in, you know, so at least I think we need to pay for the work that they've done so far.
So
What was the, what was their name on that?
For these kids, so.
So we're looking for a motion to approve the pay American Parks Company for gazebo payment of 43,950. This is a partial payment. Yes. First, second, any more discussion?
So we're holding on to that last 38,000 until, well, I'm sorry, 24,000. Until the rest of the work is done.
Yes.
We'll pay for what's done. Wait for the rest of it.
And that's why I gave him the option of we pay this and call it good, we'll fix it ourselves, but you're not gonna get that last 24,000.
Okay, I got a first, second. Any more discussion?
If you would send them a letter. No, tell them in Washington.
Okay.
I think that,
Yeah.
instead of getting a check. Right.
We've had numerous conversations. Oh, and they were excited at least to get some payment that they give to have about anything. And so.
Okay, I have a first, second. Roll call, please.
Edwards? Yes. Ludwig?
Yeah.
Fisher?
Yeah.
Slinko? Yeah. Pico?
Yes.
Roddy?
Yeah.
Miller?
Yes. The next item is amendment to ordinance 100 mobile food truck. Or unit, sorry.
Okay, Jim had mentioned earlier today in our economic report that we met with eateries, the owners of eateries in town in regard to mobile food units. We want to make sure that our local restaurants and places, if we put money in their hands first, that's where we want to support, you know. We had a meeting to talk about all the different activities we had throughout the summer and asked them about, could we set up an area where you might want to set up some type of booth, if you will, that can take your, maybe they're just gonna sell sandwiches, not to sell everything they have in their store, or maybe they're gonna go on more pizzas or something like that, but have them go through the proper channels to be able to do that. Some of them weren't sure if they had the staff to do that, some weren't sure if they had the equipment to do that, because again, just because they're not selling it in your restaurant doesn't mean that they don't have to look at health requirements on site too, you know, so there's some discussion there, but we want to open up to them first. The one thing that we looked at on section 6 of the ordinance, it doesn't say anything about the distance from any eatery. They just said, for example, well, I don't want food right in front of my working area, you know, and so we came up with language that in the fourth section, section 6A4, it'd be the mobile food unit shall not be located within 300 feet of any established eatery unless approved by the village manager. And, so case in point, let's take the place across the street. And if we go down to the Third Street, you know, and there's a track center, that's roughly 321 feet. Okay? So you're talking that, food field away, basically. Okay, so they felt comfortable with that. Now, the chamber is working with the eateries to see, okay, we got an event this weekend, we're gonna have 1,500 people there. How many can you cover? How many can you cover? And if they can't cover them, then that might determine how many food trucks that we invite in, you know, so anyway, it was a nice meeting, and a lot of things were discussed. I hope that they walk away feeling that we wanna support them first before we go and get a food unit that might come from the Tennessee or wherever the money in your pockets go. So I'm entertaining a motion to amend ordinance 100, the mobile food unit, by adding the fourth number 4, the mobile food unit shall not be located within 300 feet of any established eatery unless approved by the village manager.
I get a motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
I got it first, can I get a second, please?
I'll second that.
Got a first and a second, any discussion?
My only concern is. So, when we have events down, say like. At the craft center area. Or downtown, I've seen some set up right on this street, so that would no longer be an option.
Unless it's approved by
Because, I mean, I understand what we're trying to do, but these food units go through the same processes with the same fees to operate as regular facilities, so if we're bringing them in, I think it would be appropriate to have them still be like it. If we bring them in and we put them halfway down the road, nobody's gonna go to them. So there is the options when we're having a big event and they wanted to set up over there, so they were still kind of in with where stuff was happening, they could be a privileged staff.
And that's kind of what we've done in the past. I think it gave more of the local businesses comfort to know that we're just on the one right now.
And the other, and this coming out of this one, I would really encourage if you have another one of those meetings to maybe have one of the food sales tournaments for a while, so they can kind of know if they can and can't go ahead of it. Like just for their knowledge, just to learn like what can we sell, how can we sell it outside of our facility. But yeah, as long as there's the option approved for a little bit closer, so they're not, you know, signing up to come to something and then we shut them down. That's fine, which it can be. So there too. Or yeah, just to have them be able to still probably actually be within the area or whatever. From.
I've got a question. What's gonna be the like the evaluation criteria, I guess, to determine whether or not you've got approval and chocolate out or barbecue out or what's assurance, I guess, are you going to get from Mark, Easy Pizza, or you know, Coney, or
The chamber's one that sets up food trucks that are curious in the past. She tries to get a feel of how many people that are gonna be potentially in the village, and then she has asked the restaurant owners, okay, between 11 and 2, how many meals can you serve?
You know, they, well, we need more money, we're not currently doing bigger, but we really cover her for, I'm just for work, the pizza, my buildings, or, you know. But she will ask them, so then she'll get a feel, well, we're gonna have 1,200 people here, we can cover, you know, 850, and okay, we might just need one truck, you know, and then she'll ask, the whole, who did the same thing, how many people can you serve or not. Base your decision.
The other point I'd like to make is that, when the state of Michigan, the college did the survey, and they kind of came around and checked on, my Roscommon psychology. One of their points was the lack of a variety of food. And sometimes, they have food was no greasy, but everybody knows some of those food trucks. And they know, hey, this guy got great barbecue, or this guy got heavy. The downside of this I see is you're possibly taking that alternative away, or you're pushing it in the outside some of the boundaries of where it might make it favorable to other companies.
And lack of, you know, I mean, what if you're only allowing one truck to, or the trucking truck? Well, if you, you know, the barbecue truck, what do you call it, you know, what do you call?
I think that up to the chair, it's a change.
The truck always does is check, so any major.
Line.
So you don't know what they're doing and then, you know, they've already made their schedule up well in advance, right? So.
Right.
And several, food trucks, they'll ask, well, how many people do you expect? Because if they can knock out 600 meals or whatever, and they have to work for time, you know, so, but Tracy's the one that negotiates all that.
How's that gonna impact any like food trucks or a million percent of it? You know, if they want to put food trucks there, you got Subway, fancy burger there, and
Well, you know, Nancy's is still more than 300 feet away. Okay. I didn't worry as much about Subway, McDonald's. They had an opportunity to come to the meeting and or no representative was there, but I've never heard any flag from them concerned about our events taking money away from now, you know.
it's that thing I don't want to have. You want to have a top full circle and say, okay, 278 feet, don't worry, Subway's not even.
If, once you put it in here, then they got,
But they have grounds to, to come back. What do they recommend?
If you think that number is too high, and nothing worried, but yeah, make that number what you want.
Yeah, I don't know what the number would be at this. As a just, no doubt, as a participant, what we understand business owners, business owners as well. I mean, they're saying they like to have their labor. But I also look at members of the surrounding communities that come here for a reason, you know, when they know those, and Tracy, you know, a lot of those food vendors, food shops, and there's a drop in that.
Well, the basic thing I remember, Nancy and them do not stay open late. So we have something that goes on in the evening, mostly restaurants and stuff, but still open by 7 o'clock at night. Unless they're not, they should be smart enough to say, there's an event going on, we're gonna stay open, right? You know, but they also don't offer a lot of stuff at that time, like maybe coffee, cider, something like that, you know. So that's another thing you gotta take them that with all this stuff, figuring how to accommodate all these people, you only have Fred's, Roscoe, Matt's, and BCB's open.
and so then you could word this, any established eatery during business, I don't know. I really don't know if this is necessary anyway, but like if you were to keep this, maybe put something about, because established eatery means the building. But if you want to specify that they can't be within 300 feet of the established eatery while it's open, you would want to like put that in that way. If something's closed and we want to put a food truck there, we can do that because that business isn't being affected anyway. Because they're
Ron can override it anyway.
Yes, you're.
Tracy and I normally sit down and Matt, you know, and try not to sit on anyone's toes, I guess. But if they're gonna be closed, so you just say, no, that's what I think. Right, I guess if it doesn't work, I mean, maybe we end up, reconvene, say, it's the board thing, we lost that right there, we can always amend it again. And this was discussed and agreed on with other business owners, right? Tracy was involved. Yeah, okay. And this is what the business owners want, but tour. Yeah, I mean, we just spent a lot of time discussing, but one thing that came across in that meeting it's tough for me, right, as a degree. So, without having something right history, right, yeah. All right, yeah, I don't disagree, I mean, that's within our.
Just saying that you have got Roscoe's in DC, and I already got businesses like super close to each other.
Yeah. If I could interject real briefly, our food trucks don't have their own invitation from here. There's an ordinance that says these are the parameters. They're not really stopping the food truck literally from parking right in front of that. Go get a permit. They're supposed to say where it's gonna be. But, you know, the clerks could change. Frank could say, oh, okay, now I don't like that, but I'll approve that. And then there they are. This gives the village manager the option to say, well, she'll have to say, okay, are you 300 feet from, okay, approved, unless you say, well, they can move closer. So it isn't just food trucks invited by the chamber. Yeah. Anybody can set up a hot dog stand somewhere in town.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point, and then we should be sure. No.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the ordinance 100 mobile food unit to allow 300 feet added to the ordinance from an established eatery. Can I get a simple vote on this? All in favor, say yes. Yes.
Yes.
You don't want to be invested. The next item is. Yes, nothing else.
And here's some answer that. There's an answer.
Next item. Alley parking limit, Mr. Official, yes. You have the team.
Thank you. You know, Bob moved his meat market, or is moving it across the street. In the old house, his wife's business. And I wrote a story about it and I posted it all over and actually got complaints out of Caleb. Some guy said, I don't like to come to Roscommon, there's no place to park. Well, I talked to Kurt about it, and I talked to Kate and Bob about it. And about that alley, you know, there's some people like, there's one here sitting there for quite a while. Heard about for that, the gray van. It's like the #1 parking place off of Lake Street. It's sitting there. I mean, it's not a, he does. That van does move. Well, what I suggested that we designate maybe 30-minute parking for about 3 of those spaces or whatever you come up. And because those people are living, you know, they're living there, they need places to park. They don't need to be close to Lake. I mean, my theory on this is, I go to big stores, and if you ever go to Walmart, for instance, see how far you have to walk. It's a lot further than you can imagine. And so it's a psychological thing. People think there's no place to park here, but you know, just yesterday I parked out here and I had trouble backing in because I haven't done in this town for so long. I forgot how to park it. Now, but I got it right here in the village because I have always find I don't have a problem. I think it's a psychological thing. But anyway, Ned brought this up for discussion. I know Brian had suggested some things, maybe putting the sign that says apartment parking for the people, you know, living up there. That was one I got from Brian, and of course Kurt's interested because he kept seeing what's out and about. So if somebody would, you know, if you guys would like to come up with some ideas,
So I can comment with my niece was about. That gentleman who leases the building out to those people, tell them those are their 3 lots. That's what he tells them.
yeah,
So it's gotta go back to the building owner, we have to talk to about saying you don't have any parking spots for your tenants. Technically,
I think you could go forward with that.
yeah,
And he doesn't have the authority to assign parking. He's a regional person.
I'm saying, but that's where we're at, those 3 people park there, because that's where they're designated to park, right?
So there's 3 above my shop, there's 2 above, the mermaid shop.
And then one around the bottom,
And, you got 1 or 2?
Just the one,
Yes.
two people with no cars though. There's 2 cars that will come on that one.
Right now, there's 3 or 4 no parking signs when the snow is piled up in the winter. Those signs, he's got, but, you know, those signs could come out, they're, the individuals that live over Mermaid Shop Park where it says no parking. But those no parking signs really don't need to be, I think that could be a seasonal application, right? And, yeah, you know, when Dan came to me to talk about it, we went out and looked at it. So it does seem reasonable. You got Bob moving in, and he used to have parking behind it, his facility. And those are, they are full spaces. It doesn't seem unreasonable if you designate them as a 30-minute parking, you know, or there's quite a few spots down further as you get closer to the guys. Yeah, that's parking. There's quite a few places down.
So down a little bit around here, down there area. Give me from 1 spot.
Yeah.
And then put a time limit on. Yeah, I'm not sure the 30-minute city, the first 4.
Yeah.
The 30 minutes might be too short.
That way, they're gonna walk. Something, which you know, I don't think it's unreasonable. I've seen that in Traverse City. I've seen it in other locations. You know, we don't want to inconvenience residents, right? But it's also public space, don't you?
Well, the one other thing is how do you enforce that?
I'll let somebody know.
that's where enforcement comes in that.
Currently, there's parking along the other side of the Lake Street there, which was the tin fish being going, and not going in long, whatever. With all those going, there's plenty of parking there.
Occasionally you'll see people park over there, okay, not very often, just to keep you have to cross. And
But we got a street where we go. Yeah.
But yeah, there is some parking over there that people will use occasionally. They kind of start to run, you can see them.
They park over there, and they go over like, going down there. Yeah, they keep going around.
Connect to the ground.
Yeah, we're gonna go east. So, so it's a discussion item, but. I counted them and forgot that. Every time I go by, I run my regular one out and I count them about once now. Daily park, oh, I didn't call that. So I thought, well, I think aesthetic, well, come on, show that can. So one from. Takes them out in the back door of, mermaid shop. Right, and then your cons building starts, so if you did say 4 places for 2 hours, and then you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. You did 5 places that were tenant park. Right, you got 3 above me, you got 1 above you.
Are you talking at the very end?
Yeah,
I think that's in the apartments need to be down by the subway,
yeah,
starting from this,
yeah.
is what it should be, because that. Like you said, it's public parking, but it's not something that the building owner would just run you guys that.
Right.
So it should be furthest away, come down.
Maybe it's not even designated that, maybe you don't even designate that now, because now you're assigning them to those business or those things. Maybe you take the first 4 or 5, and you say 2 hour, 2 hour, 2 hour, 2 hour, and the rest of it's your numbers are, you know. Like, well, not, or
I mean, I can see where you're saying that, yeah, yeah, because technically it isn't anything that, because you're probably gonna end up, kind of, to what you're giving it to them.
yeah,
It's not.
because that.
Whoever buys that building, say, hey, I have these 4
Yeah.
parking spots in mine.
So you know, I do the whole, yeah, nothing bad, I'm. Range from parking them, you would say. 2 hours or 2 hours, 2 hours, go, sure. Not worth mine, instead of let the rest hour parking and.
I would probably sign probably most of that.
Would you
Really have the do all the leave the 5 that are there for apartments. You're not giving it to them, but don't sign it. Let the
So go all the way down.
let them to,
Yeah, you go down, only
Yeah.
go down, past that.
Yep.
Take that.
yeah, so you're not blank, so I mean, for comfort, so be your spot. But make the rest of it all fine, and that way you're
2 hour
you're not giving it to them, but they can use it. It's not coming down. But we need to get anything enforcing snow removal.
Oh, it's terrible.
So where in the mornings you need to be out by 8 AM, those should be moved out of it. So that they can come in, plow it quick. Then they can go back into it.
That's
I mean, need to remove it by a
It's
certain time.
so shot, it's cleared out, I had to call my vehicle, I think, it's here, yeah. She's got stuff in her, all different, now she's got tracks coming. Here's a later, but yeah.
Yeah, we felt forget.
Big chunk of ice fell off and landed right behind the car, get the moving, yeah. Christian Baker's there.
Oh, yeah, so with that one, that makes sense. A lot easier for the, even better, so.
Do you need a work zone or anything over there?
Oh, what?
Work zone area for the water? Design area?
No,
That's,
my, many of my deliveries are pointing for
yeah.
that. So I don't, we make sure they're tying in and out.
Let's double check it, it's around.
So I know we did the one behind the butcher shop. There's that one there. It's in an altar, but it's in one out.
Snake.
Well, no, I'm just saying, I'll make sure there's nothing he can need from us, if it's the way it's here.
We'll address the market.
No, because the truck tying are so varied anymore and don't. So it's either 9 AM or 6 PM. So, like I said, we got carts, we got all kinds of stuff to get them out. So even if we have to have them parked in front of the train, the train, across the tracks, we'll train places and wheel it all down that way, and that's what we will do. So I don't think we need to enforce anything.
Just wondering if it's anything you know about talking.
Well, at least it's all for most of the truck things. It's all for it.
So I saw Ken.
Well, and, you get the truck with the underneath on it, that's right.
So. Yeah, you have authority. Yeah. We have, what? We have authority to govern those now. I remember when we at least had from the railroad or something and done it.
Section 9 on, I have the authority to, whether it's site determination.
You think 6 spaces back, right?
Mhm.
Shelley, is it?
Yeah.
6 spaces back and leave on.
That's Shelley ready to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's, and then that way too, in the winter, you can go ahead and put those other no parking signs back up, so rain test out. And, that won't affect it, but it's,
Now, do we bake the snow because we just can't get it out of there?
that's what I'm on, when I was talking, in the past. They bank them, now that's not from Jobs, right? Jobs, he banks his up by the dumpster and up by where he works typically. John's driver doesn't push snow into the guardrail.
Okay.
That where the guardrail, and then what they do, they come into the loader and they'll measure. Like that, they'll take that out on the loader and they go on around by, behind the frontier, there's a fencing right in there.
Mhm.
They'll move that, once that he's burned up, big enough time, and they'll move some. Yeah.
Okay.
And that takes up about 3,
Out three spaces, great, well, right about where the end cut.
Well, because my question is, it's usually there all winter long. Even when they don't plow, it's still there, so kind of like.
They came in once, it was a lower, and then moved one, but, no, we had, that's stuff was here.
Yeah.
So they moved it at least one time. And so, we can look at that, you know, that, the DPWs.
We have to move that open, put it out, so you're in fact stuff, you know, without no problem, that should be the hard now. Day work, family work. If that, you know, contract. Yeah. With big one. Okay, no, any more questions on the other parking limits?
I'm gonna take care of it.
Okay, public announcement, 2 minutes per speaker. Amanda, go ahead. Tony, you're next.
All right.
Ladies first.
Quickly on the parking, I don't wanna jump in the middle of it. Just a thought, like, if any of that ends up close to the farmer's market, like, I don't know, that personally, I might hang out there for a while, so it's, I can go, you know, where I park. There's a lot of parking, so always count up how many parking spots there are. But also just if we're thinking it's psychological for the parking, I know we're trying to address the tenant issue. But if you start putting up a lot of 2-hour parking signs, that also just starts to feel like now we have more limited parking too. So I haven't heard. Parking's always a hot issue, but I've never had a problem with parking. I just wanted to update you all because last month I wasn't here, but you guys agreed to help match the funds as we're raising for the Kirtland's Warbler sculpture, which I greatly appreciate. And I just wanted to give you a quick update on that. And where we're at. So we posted 2 events that you all had approved the match funds for. There was the Birds, Butterflies, Bees on My Earth Day event that we had at the Silver River Center. And then we had this last Friday, the Birds and Brews at the Irish Kilt Brewing Company. So the total we've raised so far between those 2 events was, and donation match days was $2,704. So we have $2,296 left to match. We have one more event and double donation day scheduled for this Thursday. We have a luncheon at Rico where the employees pay and donate towards the cause. And then just getting the word out to some additional donors. So we are hoping to use up that entire match. And again, greatly appreciate it. That will get us very close to our total campaign goal, which is 37,500. We are currently at 29,413. The sculpture is nearly complete. We're working on scheduling final delivery and logistics on that. So it's happening. The bird is not going back. It's coming here. It'll be installed in the craft center. Unveiling will be June 7th at 10 a.m.
What days are there?
June 7th.
Is that the
Yep.
day of the Warbler Festival?
Yep.
Nice.
It'll be right after the first Portland Warbler tour gets back. And there's 2 free tours opening. Quick bird book. I know I'm probably close to time. I just want to give you guys a few other numbers on the sculpture fundraising, just to give you kind of an idea of how much engagement we've had, which I think has been huge. To raise $29,000 in just over 6 weeks. We've had 61 direct financial donors. We had 10 volunteers engaged to help us put on those 2 events. We had 9 different organizations, nonprofits like the Hagen, Percy, Community Garden, I think 9 of them. We had over 13 local businesses donate items and such for the different silent auctions we had. We had over 15 local artists donate items for the different silent auctions. So we had at least an account of 108 different people that were directly involved in donating and running the events and supporting the different silent auctions. So I think that's been huge. That's kind of what we wanted, was for this to be grassroots supported by the community. I think we're seeing that. We had over 80 around 80. I think over 80. We didn't have an official counter, but around that for the Earth Day, who attended, we had 25 people who officially played Jeopardy across 5 teams, 2 rounds at the Birds and Brews event, and I don't know how many more people probably were there, like watching or just involved, but yeah, it's been a great turnout. Appreciate your support. We'll get you updated next month where we're at, and we'll keep getting updated to posts. Thanks. Sorry for being over. Thank you.
Sorry, Dana, village resident. A little more about the water bill, I guess, hearing that, but, I contacted you guys, expressed some of the issues, and there's definitely got Councilwoman one contact me so far, and if any more want to contact me, I'd love to sit down and explain some of the issues I've had over the years. The issue, I believe with Mr. Rulebars, we had, over the last 3 years, we kind of hit and miss with my water, most time I get, but I got May's water, or April's water bill on May 2nd, so I got last week, and then I haven't got a water bill this month. I know the post office or whatever, I get a little orange sticker on it. It's something that needs to be, somebody needs to go to the post office and figure out what's going on, and I don't know if it's on postcards or, I know it's not just me, it's not just Mr. Rollbar, there's quite a few people that just want to know. And then my other question, maybe you guys can answer about Hiawatha Park. There's a sidewalk that comes in. Why is that, there's that gap? Between what? By the pond that stops and it's back out with all like a vehicle.
We had to wait till Frontier to move their green box. So that's why we couldn't cover it up. And so Frontier came a couple of weeks ago, removed that green box, and now we can put in the cement. So let it go in.
That's all they got, grass seed and straw and over there. All right. Yep.
On paper, we had it set up where everyone's gonna come in this week and come this week, and Frontier was there, yeah, we'll take care of it, don't worry about it, and then he disappeared. So we went both ends and we had to keep that from down, so.
All right.
Thank you, Tom. What about Mr. Dick?
John Dixon, village resident. Wanted to make you aware, on 4th Street, right by the culvert, across Robinson Creek, there's a hole 6 to 8 inches in diameter. I don't know if you're aware of that, I just noticed that.
Yeah, I brought it up to Ron.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. So now that I'm walking it many times. So that's the only reason. And, the village looks great. The village, the high school signs, the high school seniors, those are all up. Looks like the flower beds are getting ready. The social district's looking great. Having the tavern there, I was late for my walk. And at least I had like an explanation, why I was late for my walk. But nonetheless, it looks great and the village looks terrific. All the new pavement on 4th Street, going past the grocery store and Five Butts and all that, looks fantastic. It's great walking. It's nice having that, not walking in the street. However, all that rock comes up on that sidewalk. And it's not a problem with walking. I got something to put an ankle or something, but there's a lot. I don't know if they brought at that stone. Yeah, that stone. And I don't know an answer for it. I mean, break it away or it can be. I mean, because there's trucks and everything, it's gonna toss that up, but it does. I don't know if there's anything to do with that, because somebody with a wheel conveyance would have a hard time. Or a kid with a bicycle with 10 tires, it's gonna pop the tire or knock them off. So it is, but the pavement's beautiful. I mean, it really is nice to not have to walk down the street. But it is pretty, and are they gonna be brushing sidewalks? We have
I know they have been as far as the main areas.
yeah, some areas along Main Street. In front of the old village hall, that area needs a lot of attention. And I imagine after the spruce comes down, Main Street's gonna need some attention on that, but that's really full of travel. Okay. Yeah, so just to make you aware of that. Hey, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Dick. Any other comment, any other public comment? Officer.
So. Parking again. Refreshing lines of parallel parking and whatnot. Is that coming up soon at all? This would be for the village parking out on the main road. So like in front of Kate's store.
Yep.
Across the street where Macy used to be, you can't see it, everybody's using them as turn lane. instead of parking. So there's something we have where
Blue Dot's going through a paint right now, I don't know what they're.
they don't touch the.
But I know, I mean, honest talk with, maybe purchasing that striping machine, you know, they've had it done, and all the, everything the village owns.
Right.
So I know it's in the works.
I painted them last year, I think it was, but it really painted, I mean,
Yeah. Well, the one front of the beach used to be those have been non-existent for a while now. So, you know. And then, is there a way to get the lights switched from walking to just go with the green? In center? That whole.
That's another. Yeah, you talk about road switching, and they can direct you with who needs to be Dr. Dan, we're going down there.
Oh, okay, correct.
Down, yeah. Let you know where.
Seems to be the biggest thing where a lot of people don't walk it a lot because they just can't find it right or whatever, so.
March that, but yeah, that's not, that's not that.
Well, that's pretty much it. So, yeah.
Yep. Okay, council comment.
I just want to say it was a fantastic weekend here in the village, and thank you everybody to help us with start.
Right.
I'm so excited about the warmer. Wait to see that sculpture tomorrow.
Gotcha.
Now that it's important that everybody's together, we're going to our community unique, you know.
I was out, speaking of the world, I was out east here, you know, it's nesting area out there towards Alvarado. They had some fresh signs up, so I walk up and look closely at them. And they actually mentioned on their bluebirds. And I'm planning to build bluebird houses. They're very simple, I can get the scrap wood. See, the bluebirds used to, you know, back in the old days, they used to nest in fence posts. And the hole was real small, and so there was something on Facebook or somewhere, I saw it, and I copied that article. And I can get this lumber pretty cheap, and it's already cut the size and everything, and scrapped from over near my home. And I got one, get a whole trailer load of it for $20. And screw those things together, but I'm doing a little survey on my own of where bluebird. And Melvin had them out where he, went across I-75. The golf course here had some, and oh, what the heck. The guy lives out here past the zoo. We can't think of his name. He has some. So they're around here, but what I've been reading about bluebirds is you need to put the nest somewhere so there's a field out. Because Donna Coleman told me her daughter gave her a bluebird house. They lived downstairs. I've been there for years, and no bluebirds ever came like that. It may be because it's something to do with the field. You don't know. I'm going to start making those bluebird houses. Anyway, that's that. And the Historical Society, we're opening Saturday of Labor Day week or Memorial Day weekend, and I'm going to be there that first week. And I'm not going to be there every Saturday, but I'm going to be there. I told them that, you know, in the event somebody can't make it, just call me and I'll go down. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
No, I'm just saying that the village is looking good, and, you know, the village is growing and looking good, so happy to be here.
First of all, yeah, I just want to give an update real quick on these solar farms and solar fields that we've been discussing. So Scott Whitnall, who is the Director of Office of Public Lands and DNR, provided an email. And it says that reference placement of solar panels. It says there was an MLive story not too long ago. It says that MLive story was very misleading. Those sites you mentioned in Antrim and Wexford were evaluated, but ultimately not selected to move forward for leasing. Also, since, and this is a key part, also since January 15th, the DNR has called all leasing for solar on state lands. Finally, that quote was published without context. I was talking to an audience, so I have a situation, and how land use decisions are considered that made. Thank you for your interest in public land. So it's not like they put a stay right now on solar farms on public lands. So.
We know about what's the big story, so they don't have that right.
And other than that, no, we'll stay up on real well. Good job. For the day, you know.
It was a great weekend. A lot of people in the community. Hope to see that's like the trend for the rest of the summer. This place is becoming busier every time. I'm loving it. Can't wait for Bobby down with his new store. Well, I like to go there and check it out. I don't know about his kills, I'm making her. And Amanda, thank you for doing all you do for us. Richard, want to get with you on your water bill, figure that out for you, sir? Tony, we will keep working on the water bill situation. We're going in there. John, thank you for your point, walk around the village, you know, your knowledge. On that, I have nothing else.
I noticed, I don't, sure, there's already.
In this one.
Nowhere. Well, it's full on Saturday.
Headed for that agenda.
The other thing that I have, we'll probably have something from Redstone to look at after our meeting. I will give you an update on, any of the bids for sidewalk. One, do something from, Mayor will give us an update on the first one. Where she's at with that.
The third quest.
That's what I have for fun.
Anything else need to be added at this time? That we know of. If not, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Have a first, can I get a second? Awesome. I got a first second. Any names? Thank you. You have a recap. Yeah.